Hello there, and welcome to episode 45 of NF Show, the official weekly podcast of NF Magazine. I'll be your host in this episode. My name is Noah, and my fearless, dauntless co-host is Evan.
Hi, I'm Evan, and I'm awesome.
Last time I hosted the show, I made everybody give a trivia fact at the beginning of the show because I thought it's kind of cool. Maybe we have somebody new that just subscribed to us, and this is their first time seeing us, and we're not going to spend every week saying, and I've been a Nintendo fan for this many years. So just a random trivia fact. So let's see. My random trivia fact for this week's episode will be the first video game that I ever purchased with money that I could call my own. I didn't have a job yet. It was birthday money that I had been accumulating. The first game that I bought with money that I controlled was Final Fantasy for the NES. That's my random personal bit of Nintendo trivia. And Evan, hopefully I've given you enough time to think on your feet and whip something out for the show.
When I first bought my DS, one of the earliest games I got was Feel the Magic by Sega. I actually, at a certain point, used gloves on the touchscreen not to scratch it because I was going over it so furiously with my finger.
That is awesome to see. Nicely done. Nicely done. I think the first game that I might have gotten was Sprung. Do you remember that?
Yes, wasn't that just like PictoChat, but made by, was it Way Forward or something?
No,
Wasn't
it
it
was
just
like some kind of dating adventure game.
Oh, okay.
Sexy singles in a ski resort, blah, 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 blah. You didn't get that?
No, I didn't. Feel the Magic was where it was at. And then there you had the Metroid Prime Hunters demo, and then PictoChat was played a lot because the lineup was lackluster. Did Super Mario 64 DS launch with the console?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, I definitely picked that up, but that was very frustrating playing without a thumbstick or circle pad or whatever. You just had the D-pad, which wasn't an ideal way to play Super Mario 64, obviously.
Yeah, they were trying to be creative and come up with some alternative control solutions, but I'm glad they have seen the error in their ways and have added an extra little thumbstick nub on the new 3DS that's coming out in the North America and European territories next year. I can't get here soon enough. I saw a story today, Evan, that the 3DS XL was getting discontinued in Japan, and I guess it was headline worthy, but is that really surprising? I mean, if Nintendo is developing new models of their handheld systems, you would expect that they're going to phase out previous ones. I don't know if it was notable because it was the 3DS XL and not specific and not another version of the 3DS, but I don't know. I wasn't too surprised by that. Were you?
Well, I guess it might be surprising to people because here in North America, and I believe in Europe as well, the old consoles have sort of stuck around. I don't see that many original 3DS systems, but I'm sure you can find them in certain places. But the 3DS XL is the newest console basically in Japan, coming after the new 3DS and new 3DS XL, since there hasn't been a release of the 2DS there. But yeah, it makes sense to kind of, bring stock over, and as things sell out, just go on to the new models. It's sort of like with smartphone iterations or tablet iterations. You're slowly going to kind of move those out of their stock. And I guess in Japan, they don't have to worry about doing a huge price reduction. They're just selling out of those pretty well, which is a good thing for Nintendo.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is. And I have no doubt that the new 3DS is just going to trump in all ways, both the smaller and the larger model overall. And it is weird. It is strange. I'm glad that you remembered bringing that up, that the 2DS never came out in Japan. I normally think when Nintendo comes up with a new model, it goes through the trouble of R&D and putting something out there that you see it worldwide, but I guess we've seen some other pieces of hardware iterations. Did the Wii Mini ever get sold worldwide? I can't recall.
It did come out here in North America, and I'm pretty sure in Europe, but I don't think it ever came out in Japan either.
Yeah, so it's interesting what we do end up seeing and not seeing. And that kind of ties into some of the lighter news topics that we're going to talk about in the show. It's been a bit of a slow news week. We've had a lot of big games release, and then there was Black Friday, and final numbers, truly official, solid numbers, aren't here yet, but there have been some headlines about the Wii U's performance from a company called, I think, what is it, Info something or other. If you've been on the internet today, you've inevitably seen a chart, a bar chart that shows how many of all the different types of video game consoles out there sold proportionately in the US during Black Friday, with Xbox One in the lead handily over PS4, and down in fourth place behind Xbox 360 was Wii U. So that's kind of discouraging if you're a Nintendo fan, a hardcore Nintendo fan, and you want to see the Wii U selling better than 6% of the total market share, as this bar chart suggested. But it is worth noting that this data was gathered, I think, in a less scientific manner, a less formal manner than if we were going to, for instance, talk about NPD numbers or numbers that were officially released by Nintendo. So take it all with a grain of salt. We're not sure exactly how everything will turn out. Evan, I think you recalled last year that this same group claimed that Xbox One outsold PS4, but then in the end that actually wasn't the case.
Yeah, for November MPDs, I'm pretty sure that the PlayStation 4 came out of the gate stronger than Xbox One, and you could argue that maybe the Xbox One did sell better on Black Friday, but I think they were a little off. But I don't think it takes too much of basically someone seeing that the Wii U is not going to sell as much as the other consoles, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of boost it gets from Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. But obviously, Super Smash Bros. Isn't bundled with any of the consoles, and at least here in the United States and North America in general, we didn't really see any huge Wii U discounts or bundles like we did for the other consoles. It was pretty safe all in all, which was very interesting coming from Nintendo.
But that said, purportedly Super Smash Bros. For Wii U did sell 500,000 copies during its opening weekend in the United States, which is definitely nothing to sneeze at. That is a good, solid start for the game. And I wish we could get a breakdown, and I'm not sure if we could ever really get this unless Nintendo provided it, of how many of those purchases were by people who already have Smash on 3DS. I'm not sure. If we go by our audience and the people who've written into us, you'd almost think that a lot of them might have had both.
Yeah, and then there's just the fact that Nintendo of America is saying that Super Smash Bros. For Wii U is selling better than Mario Kart 8, which is the best-selling Wii U game that I'm aware of, and the fact that here in the United States, 500,000 copies. I can't believe that there's probably more than 3 million consoles in the United States. Probably not even that. So you're looking at kind of a hardware tie ratio that's pretty high up there. People with a Wii U are buying Super Smash Brothers, which is great. But it is kind of interesting to see. I was looking back at when Super Smash Brothers Brawl came out for Wii, and obviously the install bases were there's a pretty significant difference, but Brawl came out in March while Super Smash Bros. Came out in November, so there's a big difference between kind of the shopping periods there. And in its first month, I think it was like 3 months on the charts, it sold 2.8 million copies. Super Smash Bros. For Wii, just in the United States alone. So just like it is crazy to kind of put those side by side, and curious to see if Super Smash Bros. For Wii U just manages to sell 2.8 million copies worldwide, and I'm sure after everything's said and done, but there aren't that many Wii U consoles out there, so I'd be really curious to see how things shake out. But it's just crazy how big Super Smash Bros. Brawl was. But it's good to see that Super Smash Bros. For Wii U is doing well in its opening weekend.
And like you alluded to, that is definitely one of the success stories that Wii U can still proudly bear, is that the attach ratio for the system is relatively high. And I think a lot of that has to do with many of the purchasers of Wii U are true blue Nintendo fans, and they know a fantastic game when they see it that comes from Nintendo's first parties. And there are a lot of really good first party and second party titles on Wii U. And you'd be hard pressed, given the software library and also the quality of the titles, to probably not pick it up. And so that is something that's pretty noteworthy for Wii U, and it'll be interesting to see just how deep the Smash Brothers, how far, how much it will saturate the Wii U owner base. That's the word that I was looking for there. For instance, I am now an owner of Smash Brothers on Wii U. There was one small promotion going on for the game at Target over the weekend where you could get a $15 gift card. But this wasn't my original plan. I wanted to get it on digital via the eShop, and I actually started the process thinking, oh, I should be able to fit it on there. I've only got Mario Kart 8 on there and some indie titles. But no, I think my 32 gigabyte hard drive is pretty much almost already full. I only had 10 gigabytes left, and Smash Brothers is just over, I think it's like 15.7 gigabytes, and I couldn't find a way to easily remove stuff, and it was just kind of stressing me out, and I was thinking, can I get it on physical disc? And it's so weird how quickly my opinion has changed about physical versus digital. I'm definitely enjoying it more and more, and conversely becoming lazier and lazier in the idea of getting a game that I have to get up and change out of the system. How lazy is that? But it is so great to just instantly go to the main operating menu and say, now I want to play this, now I want to play that. And the games usually should run faster coming off of a hard drive versus having to get read off of a disk. So there are a lot of perks in that, but I just couldn't bring myself to the idea of, do I really want to spend 80 to 100 bucks on an external hard drive for my Wii U? That's kind of the dilemma that I'm at, because the only game that I have digitally is Mario Kart 8, aside from the indie titles that I've downloaded, or the eShop titles. And if there were any two titles that I would want available all the time for the life of the console and beyond, it would be Smash and Mario Kart, and maybe some other kind of Mario sports title, maybe Mario Tennis or something like that. It's games that are great for groups of people when you have people over. You don't have to go and dig up all the old games containers and then have them on hand and like, all right, everybody, hold on, let's swap it out. You can quickly switch between one and the other and play and play and play. And that's what I wanted, but I just am not sure, because I've already got a whole bunch of other games and discs, and I've played them, and then I'm done. So listeners and viewers out there in the audience, I'm really interested in hearing who of you have gone down the route that Evan has gone, which is purchase an external hard drive. Do you recommend it? Do you feel it's worth the investment? Have you also, by having an external hard drive, gotten into thinking like, this is the way I'm going to go with all my future Wii U purchases. I'm just going to download it and put it on my hard drive. So please let me know what your recommendations and your thoughts are, because that's why it's still in plastic. I don't know if I'm actually going to take it back, return my gift card, and get it digitally so it's right there, just like Mario Kart 8. So that's my little dilemma. Let me know what you guys are doing out there, guys and girls. I'd be interested to hear. We have a couple other news bits. First of all, we have to make time to talk about the next issue of NF Magazine. It is around the corner. It should be coming in your mailboxes soon. It is issue number 12, and it's called The Gratitude Project. If you're lucky, you might have already seen it in your mailboxes or digital downloads. Otherwise, hang tight. It will be coming in soon. Evan, I thought this was really interesting. You found this story about Amazon France potentially leaking a sequel to a previous Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah, so this popped up last week after we recorded our latest episode of the NF show, and it was Zombie U2 by Amazon France. And obviously listings pop up all the time, and you can kind of just be like, oh, someone messed up with the database, or it's an old entry. But Amazon France kind of gets a little bit of credibility because this site also leaked Call of Duty Black Ops 2 previously, as well as Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC. So this is notable not only for that, but also because of the distributor or publisher that Amazon France listed was Bandai Namco. And we all know that Ubisoft released Zombie U. It was an exclusive to the launch of the Wii U. It's a game that I absolutely adored. But it didn't sell well according to Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has pulled its support from Wii U over the past couple of years, even saying that I want to call it The Walking Dead, but it's Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is the last mature game that is going to release for the console. So all of this makes it seem unlikely that Zombie U2 is going to come, but there is the possibility. The only two possibilities I can really see are maybe it's gone multi-platform and Ubisoft is working with other publishers to bring it out places maybe. So Zombie U2 will be
Hmm.
on, and it could be like a digital game that we'll see on Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U. And the other option I could see is Nintendo saying, okay, we've lost so much third-party support. We need to do some more second parties, or we need to cut some more deals. We will fund Zombie U2, and maybe Bandai Namco, who Nintendo just worked with on Super Smash Brothers, is willing to also come in and help kind of do this co-development deal to get another exclusive game next year. The information that did come out was the fact that it would be released in October 2015 for Wii U. It didn't say it was an exclusive or anything, and set in New York instead of London.
Well, I have to say the idea of a sequel coming out for that game is very tantalizing, very exciting, because it was one of the most creative and novel games to come out on any of the new consoles in their launch title libraries. You got to see a lot of sequels and safe bets, and it makes me kind of sad because as an old gamer, I've learned to look forward to console launches for when publishers and developers get a little bit riskier and try more creative concepts. And Zombie U is a perfect example of that, even if its history is steeped in a concept that's decades and decades old, the original Zombie U game from long, long ago. But it was cool to see this come around. I just hope that it really does come to Wii U, because Wii U can definitely use all the firepower it can get in the coming year, and something from third parties is especially exciting for the system.
Yeah, and another thing is, as much as I love Zombie U, there are definitely rough edges, and that kind of comes with the territory of being a launch title. Whether it's the visuals could have definitely been spruced up, the controls could have felt a little tighter, but it was such a unique game. And as we've seen kind of the horror genre and scary games kind of rise from the ashes, I feel like almost the past
Hmm.
couple of years, and we're now seeing even triple A titles, whether it's the recently released Evil Within or kind of the comeback of Silent Hill with Kojima having the PT trailer and Resident Evil games coming, more and more Resident Evil games coming out. I feel like Zombie U2 could be a magnificent game, and I feel like if Nintendo's smart, they would try to do some kind of co-development or funding with Ubisoft and try to keep this as an exclusive game, because I think Zombie U has its own unique hooks and feels almost like a Nintendo game in the fact that yes, it is gory and everything, but you're just not going around just blowing zombies away left and right. It's much more survival horror and trying to make it out alive. And hopefully it's something we'll see. Like I said, I absolutely adored the first one. I was giddy when I saw this. I'm keeping my expectations low because we have all seen what Guillermo, I believe, the president or CEO of Ubisoft, has basically said don't expect much from Ubisoft on Wii U, but hopefully somehow this can be a miraculous game that comes back and we get to see it, because I would love to see what that team could do with the sequel.
Thanks for finding that story out there, Evan. And listeners, let us know what you think. Would you be interested in another Zombie U game on the Wii U platform? Or are you skeptical that if it were real, that it's coming to the Wii U platform? How would you feel if the sequel actually went to the other consoles and didn't come to Wii U? I'd love to hear what you all think. But moving on from those light news tidbits, we're going to get into what we've been playing this last week. And Evan, you have some small updates on what you've been able to fit some time in for.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of away for the holidays. It was Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States, so I was traveling and wasn't at home with my Wii U and Amiibo and Smash Brothers, so wasn't able to put any more time into that. But I was able to start playing Sakurai Samurai Art of the Sword, which I've had downloaded on my 3DS forever. I don't know if I got it as part of a Club Nintendo deal or if it was like a platinum award a couple of years ago. All I know is it's been sitting on my console waiting
Hmm.
to be played. And as I was on my drive up there, I had like a 4 hour drive there and back, and I only played on the way there. But I saw Professor Layton and the Azeron Legacy, which I'm like 8 hours into, and I don't know what it is. I just can't get through it. I think I've talked about it. I kind of just hit that Professor Layton fatigue on this sixth
Yeah.
game, where it's just like, okay, I've done this so many times, and I gotta finish. I'm gonna push through, but it's not the best game I believe to be playing while you're kind of being shotgun in a car seat, kind of holding it
Yeah.
up with the stylus. So I
Yeah.
decided to give Sakurai Samurai a try because I've heard it referred to as Punch Out and something that's a little more Twitch based. And I was enjoying it so far. I probably put like 45 minutes into it, got into some fights, and was a little bit surprised by the difficulty of the game. I don't know. Have you played it, Noah?
No, I was kind of turned off by the art style. To quote your reactions with Guacamelee, I just really did not dig it at all.
Yeah, it is not the most visually pleasing game. It's very muddy textures, and I can definitely understand that. It's a little dark. It kind of reminds me the dark settings almost like a Nintendo 64. Like the lighting seems off in a lot of ways, but it's a cool title, and I got it for free, and I'm looking forward to putting in time with it here and there to see how it all plays out. It's definitely giving me a much better first impression than I think of its counterpart, because I believe these games were released within a month or two of each other, and that's obviously Dylan's Rolling Western. And I'm having a much more pleasant and positive initial impression than I am with that game. And I'm curious to see, because the depth of this, see how it plays out, because it's all about kind of dodging attacks and striking back. So it's kind of a simple, like I said, punch out mechanic. How it plays out over a few hours, and whether that kind of bores me or leads to tedium in its gameplay design. But so far, it's been pretty cool, and I'd be curious to see how many people out there have played it as well. You can always email us at show@nfmagazine.com or leave us a comment here on YouTube. But I'm excited to have kind of a small game to play in the sea of all these big holiday titles. No, it's nice to have kind of this little thing that I can play on my 3DS, especially as I kind of tinker away at Professor Layton, because there aren't any big 3DS games I'm going to play. I'm kind of going to get back into my backlog. Like the new Pokemon games came out, but I really need to go back to X or Y and see how my Finnegan's doing. Has he been okay without me and everything? But the other game that I have been playing over the past week, but I really don't think I can say much for it, is Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which I kind of been lukewarm before I touched it and wasn't that sold on it. So I'll be excited to kind of go more in depth with the game next week on the show. And obviously it comes out this Friday in North America. So I can't wait to hear all of our listeners and readers' impressions, and possibly yours, Noah, if you pick it up this weekend, and kind of go through that puzzle game from Nintendo.
Yeah, if you're watching our show over on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/nfmagazine, you can see the mighty return of Toad in my background, because of course he has to come back when his first marquee title game comes out. Marquee title game comes out on retail, no less. It's not even an eShop title. It is actual physical disc, which is really exciting. It's funny that I'm talking about that after lamenting having Smash Brothers digitally. And the thing is when I look at Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, it feels like a digital title,
Yeah.
but you can buy it on disc. So I'm really excited to hear what Evan's perspective is, because if Captain Toad can win over somebody who is kind of apathetic or critical of the game concept like Evan, that could be good news for everybody, especially me, and for my Toad figurine in the background. Or
Well,
we'll have to smelt him by Evan's command.
Well, I noticed for those people watching on YouTube that Toad isn't the only little character behind you. It looks like you've gotten a new addition over the past week.
Yes, towering over her, kind of Godzilla style, Toad is towering over my first amiibo, which is the Peach amiibo. I broke down and decided to get Peach as my first one, because thinking about the characters that I really like to play in Smash Brothers, and of the characters that are currently available, and yeah, the Fox figure looks really cool. Blue, and Mario looks all right, and Kirby's okay. But of the characters that are currently out that I really like to play as, it's either Peach or Pikachu, and Peach is just she's funnier to me. And this is really a goofy looking little figurine. So yeah, and her face, there's just something about it that's wrong. It's either it's a little bit too long, or her eyes are too narrow, and she has red eyebrows. I'm not sure if anybody's noticed that. If you look at her up close, her eyebrows are literally red, like apple red, I think, or maybe it's hot pink. That's weird, but otherwise, I'm pretty satisfied with the little figurine. And it's funny to see a role reversal in the background behind me, since she uses Toad as a shield in Smash Brothers, and here he's about to pound her flat with his fist. It's kind of misconstrued as, but actually he's got his hands near for victory pose. Because
So you hadn't seen any of the amiibo out in the wild as of out. Did you talked about the characters you saw? Did you get to see Marth or Villager or Wii Fit Trainer? Were they kind of sold out? I'm guessing you saw them at Target.
yeah, it was on another evening that I went to Target to pick up my Peach amiibo. And interestingly enough, you talked about this the other week, Evan, but there were characters that were sold out. The Wii Fit Trainer was sold out, Link was sold out, and I think there was one other. Marth was also sold out, but they had Mario. Actually, the Villager. The Villager was there, so they had Mario, Villager, Star Fox, and Peach, but Link and Marth and the Wii Fit Trainer were not there, which is kind of a bummer because I really wanted to see the Wii Fit Trainer. Originally, that was the first one I was going to acquire until I saw that ugly plastic cast around her foot, and I said, nope, disqualified, Wii Fit Trainer, because she seems like, out of the new characters, her and Villager seem like they could be total fun characters to master and play as all the time, much like I feel like with Peach and Pikachu. But I did look at them closely. I got to see this plastic supports, because there was a copy of the Link amiibo in the display case,
Yeah.
along with Samus and all the other ones, and they didn't look too bad. I picked up the Kirby one because I remember how much the face looked out of alignment in some of the photographs showed up on the internet, and he looked okay. Everything was centered. So in general, I think they're not too bad. I think it's easy to overreact if you're a really big Nintendo fan and you want something that's just as fancy and impressive as Disney Infinity toys and Skylander toys, because I've never been interested in the Skylanders franchise. But of course, I've looked at the toys when I've gone to the stores, because there's so many kids out there and adults that are really into it. It's like, oh, look at these Sailor figures. And I remember thinking, wow, these are really well painted and really well done and very well designed. I never purchased any of them. And then the Disney Infinity ones also comparatively are really well done. And I've actually purchased a couple of those, not with the intention of ever using them in a game, but just because they're so well designed. They're great little figurines for people who obsess over tiny collectible toys like I do. And so you want the Nintendo ones to look that awesome as well. And there's just these weird things that just don't seem in line with the Disney Infinity and Skylanders ones. And when I think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's not huge. There's going to be many, many, many more amiibos that come out that could be really incredible in person. It's just a little bit of a letdown because you want it to just be a home run. These are fantastic characters, great designs. They should be really easy to just make fantastic figurines, especially since there have been so many millions of licensed toys based on these characters, many of them, not all of them, in the past, especially in Japan. It should be no-brainer developing a really great, solid figurine that doesn't require silly supports and stuff like that. But yeah, Nintendo's still getting its feet, but what's out there is still pretty good. And I'm looking forward to putting her to use once I decide if I'm just going to break down and rip that cellophane off that Smash Brothers game or get an external hard drive. So yeah, we'll see. I don't have any impressions really to share about Amiibo functionality or Smash Brothers yet because of that, but I did get to play the Mario Kart 8 DLC.
You could have used Peach in Mario Kart 8. You could have got the Mii costume.
I'm not going to have my Mii driver in Peach cosplay. No. I don't know. Maybe that would be funny. Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. You could have gone into your decision. It may have led you to get Pikachu. instead of Peach.
Uh, maybe, yeah, maybe I'll check that out. Maybe that will help add one more figure to my collection before the December wave of amiibo come out, which I'm really looking forward to because there's a couple in that lineup. But the Mario Kart 8 DLC, as those of you who have already purchased it and experienced it, is very satisfying. The new tracks are very well designed. They have great music. It's great hearing classic songs and new songs alike redone in the up-tempo jazz pop style that the rest of the Mario Kart 8 soundtrack has. And the courses are just really fun to drive. And they're not as hard as I would expect because when you first play Mario Kart 8, you have the different cups, and basically each cup along the track, the higher level the cup is, the more challenging the courses are in that cup. And so when you go to the track selection menu, these new DLC courses are at the very end of the line, so you think, wow, these are going to be super hard. But they're not. They're not too bad. I would say they're kind of in the first two cups difficulty range. But th're just the Dragon Road one. It has so much upside down and passing the other folks below you if you get ahead of some of the computer players, and lots of twisty turns. The F-Zero track is beautiful. That makes me want to play a full F-Zero game, of course. And the Excite Bike track, I think if I didn't know that every time you played it, the ramps and jumps and mud pits changed every time, it may not be quite as exciting as the F-Zero one, for instance. But it's still pretty fun. I mean, it's very stark and simplistic because Excite Bike is that type of a game. But knowing that it actually changes every time is really cool. So yeah, I definitely think, Evan, you need to get these games.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 DLC will probably come at a certain time when I'm not just overwhelmed by all these other games. I have Smash and Captain Toad, obviously. So probably when things settle down, the Mario Kart 8 DLC. And I'll definitely get the 2-pack because it's a good deal and Nintendo's still offering it. But I'm not in any kind of rush because the second pack doesn't come out until May. So
Wow.
there is a good wait there until the second part. But yeah, the F-Zero track looks awesome. Excite Bike's cool. It's really interesting that you kind of have the juxtaposition of those two games because Nintendo, weirdly enough, has put more support behind Excite Bike as a franchise over the past like 5-8 years than it has F-Zero, which is kind of weird to me. We had Excite
That's
Truck and
true.
Excite Bots on the Wii, as well as the Excite Bike World Rally. I think that was a WiiWare title, and now we're getting like this. It's getting DLC with F-Zero. It's kind of odd that out of all the franchises, Nintendo has kind of had the Excite Bike series back there instead of something like F-Zero.
And I have to admit, the first new character that I raced as and the first vehicle that I used was Link. And there was this weird conflict in my head. It wasn't right at the front of my brain. It was further in the back, just saying, this doesn't make sense. It's not right. Link shouldn't be here. It's like this one isolated incident amongst all of these just majorly Mario characters, and she's like, Link doesn't need, she shouldn't be here. But goodness, he's just so much fun to play as, and that motorcycle is awesome, and it controls really well. It has great stats, and I loved going through the character select menu and popping all of the characters onto the high roll cycle because of course there's different sizes of it depending on which characters you pick, since Mario and Luigi are smaller than Link, which is just really weird. Link is kind of Rosalina sized, and Rosalina is like a giant compared to Mario,
Yeah.
Peach, and Luigi. I don't get that. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's funny to see the little horse cycle grow and shrink depending on who it is that you're putting on it. And there's an extra set of tires, and there's an extra glider, a high roll glider that adds onto it. It's just very cool. Does not make sense. My design side says no, but it's so cool. It just makes me kind of want like a Nintendo kart game.
I was gonna say, does it make you want Smash Kart? Do you want to see Samus behind the wheel, or
Yeah, I think that would be majorly cool. And maybe that's what this DLC is. It's a symbol. It's a sign of things to come. That this is
yeah?
a subtle transition, and much like we get Wii Party and Wii U Party next to Mario Party, maybe we can look forward to a Nintendo Kart or Smash Kart alongside the likes of Mario Kart. I would definitely be all about it. I want all of it. Yeah. So those are my game impressions and Evan's game impressions. And that's all of our personal content that we have to share. Now we're going to get into your personal content. That is the feedback that you've shared with us about last week's episode. And Evan gets the lucky task of doing that.
Yeah, and remember, you can always give us your feedback by emailing us at show@nfmagazine.com or leaving a comment on our YouTube page. Once again, that's youtube.com/nfmagazine. Or if you're watching us right now, right below us, jump in the conversation. We love to hear from you. We're going to start with emails like always. Our first email comes from Reggie. I haven't been one to get attached to toys. Well, not since elementary school, but strangely, I'm getting attached to my amiibo. Now, don't think I'm crazy when I say this, but I find myself petting my Kirby and Pikachu before leaving for work. Are you guys starting to get attached to your amiibos as well?
I think that Evan is. I do not pet my Peach before I leave.
I don't believe that I have pet Samus, but I do like Samus. I have her on my work desk to kind of just watch over me, make sure I'm staying on task and everything. So yes, I'm fonder. I guess I would say I'm fonder of the amiibo than I figured I would be before they came out. So that's really cool. And Reggie finishes with, also more seriously, how are you guys training your amiibo in Smash Brothers? Well, I can answer for Noah. He's not doing anything with poor Peach. She's just falling out of shape back there and getting around by Toad.
Well, she's right now. All she has to do is look cute back there. That's all she's doing. She's a princess, for Pete's sake.
I have mainly trained my amiibo in Super Smash Brothers in one-on-one battles. Items off, just going through the paces. I'm Mario for the most part so far. I need to play around with new characters, but yes, Mario's just kind of put a beating to Sheamus in the one-on-one. I think I've watched a couple of matches, but I have more fun kind of facing off against my amiibo than kind of watching the computer play the game for me. Our next email comes from admin. I demand footage of you two dancing to the NF Show theme song before every episode.
I liked just leaving the camera on Evan for a moment after that because this email cracked me up, and I know that Evan and I could do it, but will we? I don't know. I think we would need like a sound stage, maybe a green screen, and backup dancers. I don't know. to pull it off with adequate gusto, or maybe not. When I read that email, I actually thought I could visualize in my mind Evan dancing to the NF Show music.
How would I dance to the NF Show music?
I was thinking lots of arm movements like this, maybe some roof raising like that.
I do like raising
maybe some fist pumps.
I like the idea of fist pumping, just the. Yeah, we need to work out our Google Hangouts where we could play. It'd be nice to play even on the video show, have the music play before every episode where we're just smiling and the music plays. Or maybe we could dance, cut back and forth between us dancing. So we'll look into that, Emin, so your dreams can come true. Our next email comes from Travis R. A buddy and his wife got me an amazing surprise early Christmas present. My wife heard a noise while at home and went to the back door to find a bag sitting on our porch with a brand new, sealed copy of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Please let the listening and viewing audience know that Brian and his wife Bridget are freaking awesome. They won the Friend of the Year award. Anyway, I don't do a ton of online gaming outside of Mario Kart 8 with Ryan. I've had a few connection issues and stutters, so I'm thinking of picking up a Wii U LAN adapter. Any suggestions?
I unfortunately have not checked out the Wii U LAN adapter. I'm going to just play it cheap style wirelessly and let the gods decide whether or not I'm going to have a good connection or not. But if push comes to shove and I lose to Evan because of connectivity issues, I will be more informed on this topic, I assure you.
I also don't have a LAN adapter, but I've heard that I know Nintendo sells one on their website, but I do believe I've heard a third party company. I can't remember if it was like Nyko or someone else that there was a Wii LAN adapter that's like $10 or something that you can find on Amazon that works really well. So I think that's worth looking into, and I'm sure you can find some good feedback out there on the expansive interwebs to kind of guide you if you figure you're going to go the LAN way. But I would at least try it out probably on your wireless connection to see if you have too many issues, because if not, and you're not looking to be ultra competitive in the floor glory mode, I think you'd probably be all right. Our next feedback comes from Winston, and he's going to kick off the
Weston.
Weston, sorry. Did I say Weston? Staying at the Weston.
You said Winston.
Oh,
Not even close. Just throwing extra letters in there. Poor Weston. Let me apologize on Evan's behalf for you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This kicks off the comments, YouTube comments section of our feedback. Weston. Now I think I'm going to say Weston. I can't believe I said Winston. Weston M, I apologize. Anyway, Weston says, launch day didn't go as well as I had planned. I got the flu and was bedridden that day. But I recovered the next day and picked up my copy of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and got the Link, Peach, and Samus amiibo figurines. I noticed that there were no Martha Villager amiibo and a very small amount of Wii Fit trainers at the two stores I visited. I've played 23 hours of the game and always have trouble putting it down. It's a great game for me and my family to play, as we usually only play Wii Sports. All of my amiibo are at level 50 and I love training them. My only problem with amiibo is that I think they level up too quickly. The figurines themselves look great. The Link pea green stand isn't as obnoxious as pictures depict, and my Peach and Samus amiibo are also well done.
I have to commend you both on your selection of amiibos as well as the leveling and the amount of time you put in that game. That's awesome. You've definitely got a lot out of it so far, and you kind of have a trio of terror that you can take around with you to friends' places or online, but well, yeah, to friends' places with your amiibos, and that's really cool. Peach and Samus and Link. I'm glad that you like them all and that you're able to find ones that you think are nice quality. And I echo how you feel about it. I think just seeing it in person and after you go through the emotional experiences that you might have had if you saw the pictures online, then you see it in person, and you're just like, they're just plastic toys, whatever. It's not as bad.
Yeah, I'm just glad that you're feeling better, Weston, and we're able to get so much good time in with Super Smash Brothers. Can't wait to hear further impressions from you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next comment comes from the seventh experiment. I picked up Pokemon Alpha Sapphire Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and a Yoshi amiibo recently. I'm very pleased with Smash for Wii U, and I'm especially impressed with the amiibo. Since the last episode, I now am the owner of Yoshi, Kirby, Peach, Wii Fit Trainer, and Villager. About Smash, I haven't had a chance of playing Smash Tour yet, but I have played online with a friend in regular Smash, and for the most part, I played pretty well. As for Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, I'm really enjoying it as well. The game looks great, and all the music that I listened to over and over in my elementary and middle school days are still there. Upon hearing the first few seconds of the song that plays in your hometown, I was actually beginning to tear up. It's a song that's so familiar to me, and I haven't heard it in years. It reminded me of when I was younger. I never realized it before, but I really feel like the Hoenn region games have the best music in the Pokemon series. And to answer your question, I have played Mario Party Island Tour, and unfortunately, it was unimpressive. The game looks good, and some mini games were fun, but I really felt like the game was made for 5-year-olds. I'm really hoping the Wii U version will be better. And as for your concerns with Animal Crossing, if you're talking about New Leaf and how returning to your town will have roaches all over the place and a whole bunch of new neighbors, it actually doesn't quite work like that, at least to my knowledge. Neighbors will stay in your town and will only leave or move in if you actually play the game. I went on an Animal Crossing hiatus for several months and came back and everybody was still there. As for the roaches, if you're willing to visit the town hall and set a new ordinance for cleanliness in your town, you will never find any roaches, weeds in your town ever again.
Well, okay, first of all, I really liked your story about Alpha Sapphire, Seventh Experiment. I think the best game experiences are the ones that touch your heartstrings, even if they're games that at a given moment it's not supposed to make you feel really sentimental and emotional. But it says a lot that a game has resonated so strongly with you, and to revisit it and have those waves of memories come over you again, it's just really cool, and it gives me goosebumps. So I definitely love hearing stories like that. And it's good to confirm that, yes, Mario Party on handheld systems still pretty much stinks no matter what the subtitle is or what the number is. But unfortunately, you took that bullet for us there, Seventh Experiment. And then I also appreciate the clarification on how Animal Crossing New Leaf functions when you leave things for a time. It was me who brought that up last week and feeling a little bit guilty about it. And I don't know if I'm ready to commit to Animal Crossing New Leaf the way that I should, but I don't know if I feel guilty about some of my favorite neighbors just walling around and cockroaches for eternity, such as their fate may be, but that might be the case.
I can't remember what the name of my town was at this point, but I definitely feel like we should go back, Noah, and visit each other's towns, and maybe we can go clubbing and do some of the dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can dance to do our NF show tune dances.
Definitely. I still have an old email saved or something on my website. It's a QR code to get the Drive jacket, the movie Drive jacket, to put on your character in Animal Crossing, and I've been holding
No.
on to that for like a year. So I need to go back to at least do that and see what it looks like and
Yeah.
everything. So the game, I bought the game digitally. It's still sitting there. I think it even has one of the like green icons blinking because I had some kind of street pass ages ago. And you kind of, it's like you said last week. You kind of just like dread. You're just like all the emotions that are gonna flow over me, and all this guilt for just leaving these people in limbo. They can't move away. New people can't come. They're just stuck in this town where the mayor hasn't been around for more than a year. But I definitely agree with the Seventh Experiment as well. It's really awesome to hear about kind of the emotions you felt picking up this game a decade later with Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby and everything. And curious to see as your experience goes on what else you kind of feel going back to that region and playing those Pokemon remakes on your 3DS.
Hmm.
Our next comment comes from Kasaki Project, who always writes in awesome stuff. Kasaki Project said, I picked up Smash Brothers early at Best Buy. Got the GameCube controller bundle, and I was a sucker as well and bought a Peach amiibo.
Yeah, Peach Domination.
Had so much fun unlocking everything. Had 6 people over that night, playing with a GameCube controller, a Wii Remote, a Wii Classic controller, the Gamepad, a Wii U Pro controller, and my 3DS. It was fun. My
Wow.
girlfriend doesn't like games much, but she loved playing as Wii Fit Trainer since she does yoga. I think adding her was a good choice. I might get her the amiibo as a stocking stuffer just as a joke. Don't worry, I'll get her real gifts too.
Because we were immediately going to leap into chastising Kisaki first.
Yes.
Don't get her just a Wii Fit Trainer amiibo with that nasty plastic cast.
Yeah, we're judging you. Definitely judging you.
Not at all, but it's funny to imagine.
I know the amiibos should be higher quality, but there's something about leveling them up that's so much fun. I think I'm going to be a sucker and end up getting a bunch.
Playing right into Nintendo's hands, you are. Yes.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see kind of how the enthusiasm, whether it kind of stays at this level or wanes over the next couple of months as the next waves come out. Will we see people still getting stoked about it? And I'm guessing a lot of that might have to do with what kind of functionality. We really don't know how Amiibo work with Captain Toad yet, how they'll work with I believe they've been announced for Kerbo and the Rainbow Curse, and how it works with Mario Party 10 and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of functionality is there and whether it gets people excited. Our last comment comes from Gaming Nerd 15. I briefly played Mario Party Island Tour, and it wasn't great. It had a few enjoyable minigames, but nothing more.
I like succinct viewpoints as well. Thank you, Gaming Nerd 15, for sharing that with us. I think this might be the first time we're hearing from this person, right?
Yeah, I believe so, and it's awesome for you to give us that feedback. It's funny, not people don't have much to say about Mario Party Island or
It kind of reminds me of that penguin game that we gave away a long time ago. Do you remember that?
what penguin? Oh, Percy's predicament. Yeah, I didn't even want to bring that up. I feel bad about it.
I remember somebody wrote in like they got the game, they installed it, but like 20 minutes later I uninstalled it. And that was all they said. They were like, "Come on, you have to tell us more." And there was this horrible experience shared with us. And there are probably people out there that love that game, but unfortunately we haven't found them yet. If we do, we will be sure to let everybody know when that happens. Evan, thank you very much for taking us through the feedback. That is the end of all of our content for this episode number 45, "Tis the Season," which was the title we chose since it's "Tis the Season" for shopping and for Smash. Hopefully we will have more Smash stories to go through next week. Who knows what kind of random news stories are going to pop up over the next week about surprise sequels to games that we didn't even think were ever going to come. Hopefully something like that will happen. Otherwise, we're definitely going to hear more about Captain Toad, Treasure Tracker from Evan. And if we can finagle it and work it out, we'll have an extra guest host with us as well. So that will be something to look forward to, too. Also, keep an eye on your mailbox, digital or physical, for the next issue of NF Magazine, The Gratitude Project. In the meantime, if you want to keep up to date on all NF Magazine news, you can follow it on Twitter at Nintendo Force. If you want to follow your two muggy little co-hosts here on the show, I am at This Is Noah, and Evan is at Evan Campbell. Thank you very much for subscribing to us, reviewing us on iTunes, leaving your comments over on YouTube. We're still trying to get that iTunes problem sorted out. Thank you for bearing with us on that. We hope to have it resolved soon. In the meantime, we really love hearing from you all, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Until next time, bye-bye.